good morning, good afternoon. Thank you all. I think I've had the pleasure of officially meeting everyone on the call when you all came and spoke at Rotary. But my name is Dave Cudahy. I'm the general manager here for the Daily News. I'm one of the members of our editorial board. We also have Nancy Edwards on. Nancy is our news and community editor. She is a absolute staple and figure of the Daily News. She's been here for 47 years, so we're thrilled to have Nancy on the editorial board. And of course, I'm sure you all know each other. So we do have another member of our board that'll go ahead and review the recording if he's unable to jump on here before we would make any determination and possible eventual endorsement. So that is the purpose, just for us to get to know you guys a little bit better. The way we'll do the format here, I think I had outlined. We'll ask the same question, give all of you a chance to answer, as succinctly as possible. A good, 2-3 minute interview or 2-3 minute answer should be sufficient. And we'll move on to the next question. We'll get through our several questions and give you all the opportunity for a brief kind of stump speech, anything that we didn't cover that you want to make sure that you get addressed in making your case for why you'd be the best for your individual seat. Again, we'll then meet as a board and consider, the options for making an endorsement. And our goal is to have all of these. We're focused on the city council level this go around. Just think that these are the critical positions that we would want to weigh in on. So, our goal is to have any endorsements out before ballots are in hand. So that's kind of the timeline we're looking at. I want to thank you all. Chet, as the only incumbent on the call, thank you for all the service you have provided the city. And as everyone jumping into the fray, this has taken considerable time for you and your families. And thank you all for putting the interest out there and putting the effort into making the city, a strong and better place for all of us. So it's not lost on us, the time and effort you've all put in. So, we certainly thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right. I think I've heard you all speak on this topic. We've covered it as well, but one of the largest issues in our city, it's no secret, is the homeless issue. So I would go ahead and ask that you outline your thoughts and plans on how we should address it going forward, specifics that you would try to put in place and to get the rest of the council on board with. We'll give everyone an opportunity to go first. We kind of pulled random to start, and as it looks, we'll go Chet, we'll go Angie, we'll go Spencer, we'll go Tom, and then we'll just kind of rotate through. But Chet, you're up first. If you would let us know your thoughts and plans on how to address, or if we should address, the homeless issue.
Well, good morning, everybody. I guess it's afternoon. Homeless ideas. And yes, I was quoted in the paper with a statement that was really stupid on my part. It's not the way I feel. So I'll get that out of the way right away. One thing I'd like to see is I feel so sorry for the people who are in those camps. For almost 3 years, I was on a committee to try to figure out what we could do with the homeless, and just couldn't find an answer anywhere in the United States that lasted more than 6 months to a year. And so when it came time with the new board to assignments, I said, no, I wasn't interested in doing that again. So the 3 ladies are on there and they're doing a great job with the county. I think it's really important that the county and the cities work together. The money goes to the county, so it might as well, instead of spending it or sending it out to each group, is just keep it in one spot and keep it working to get some kind of a answer to this problem. A couple ideas I have is allow churches to get a permit for allowing car camping on church property if they're so inclined. I think that would help. One thing we have to do is I think, is expand treatment and traditional housing. And it doesn't do any good to treat somebody and kick them back out on the street. We got to have a follow-up place where they can go in for a year and get help. So I think that's a big thing that we really have to do, is expand treatment and transitional housing. And we need to work to enforce the tent and tarps ordinance, but allow people to sleep on public right-of-ways. That's what the court said they have to do. So, you know, I hate to see, you know, mess around City Hall again, but if they can only come at 10 o'clock with their stuff and go at 6 in the morning, I guess that's fine. But I think we need to work to enforce tents and tarps ordinance. I think we actually, quite frankly, and I've said this many times, I believe that they should not be treated any different than the rest of us. If I was to start a campfire there and burn, somebody come and take a look at me. If I was doing drugs or had drug equipment, I get busted. I mean, stop and think about each one of us. If we did some of that stuff, we'd be in the Hooscow. So I think we need to start enforcing our laws, same laws that you and I and everybody else has to go by. But I do believe that we really have to. Okay, just
we're coming up on 3. So
okay, yeah, I think we need to just keep working at it and see what we can come up with, because we're going to have it, so we better learn how to take care of it. So that's about all I got to say. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Angie.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. So, you know, I've got a couple of thoughts. First is that, as we know, this has been a systemic problem for decades. And so there are communities that are addressing it. So I don't think that we have to go and create one-off solutions that try and address it. I think we can leverage the strengths and the creativity and the, you know, really the work that's been done by other communities. And I've seen a lot done. I had lived in Eugene at one point, and there's a lot of work being done there around the homeless, creating different, you know, like slab housing almost, with crates and different things. I think there's a lot of ways that we could look at how do we implement different ideas from others and leverage that goodness. So that's the first part. We've got great services here in the community, and it's been a really great learning opportunity for me, learning more in depth about those. And I think that a coalition to be able to bring that together and ease the information, that goes to our homeless community and those that are unhoused, so that they have better access to that information, is a key. So I think having some sort of a coalition where we can have a coordinated effort and ease that information and know, okay, this is the group that and where the veterans are supported. If you are with small children, here's where you are supported. I think that's key. There is a lot of work being done at the national level around how do we address specific communities. And so that's something I've been actually looking into over the past week, because I think if we were to look at addressing our veterans as a starting point, how do we specifically tackle that and make sure that we have options for them and try and work on one specific part of our community, because I don't think it's a one size fits all, then I think that's also a really great start. And then definitely the healthcare is a key. So having integrated healthcare for them. The mental health is a huge issue, and I definitely want to make sure that it goes hand in hand, I think, with addiction, and sometimes it's hard to figure out what comes first. So I do think that having the work that's been done by the city in order to bring in the mental health to pair with our police force is important, also at that county level. But even doing more of that, I think, is something that will definitely help our unhoused community.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Spencer.
Well, first off, I'd like to, you know, I've said this every other interview, every group talk, at every other community group and meet and greet I've done, and even at the doors, homelessness isn't ever going to be solved. And I think that those entities and agencies that make it their mission statement to solve it, they're off on the wrong foot altogether. The Bible says the poor will always be with us. One of the most common things I'm hearing at doors is, you know, what are we supposed to do as a city government, or what is it that I want to do with those folks that aren't choosing to get into services with the services that we already have? And that's over 120 different agencies. I know it's been talked about already. Coalition of services, it already exists. There's already lists of all of that. It's the same thing as somebody requesting a list of private landlords. The list of service agencies already exists. Millions and millions of dollars are spent in this community alone every year treating the different aspects of homelessness in the different communities. Now, the problem and the shortfall with this is that some folks qualify for this program for a short amount of time. As an example, they then no longer qualify for it after a certain amount of time. We also have the fact that, you know, out of the 100 people that are down there on Alabama Street right now, you know, 3/4 of them are self-admitting, you know, some sort of mental health issue. You know, those of us that actually work with this community, we know that that's oftentimes the root cause of your drug addiction. I can speak to that from experience with my own family members that ended up losing their jobs when Reynolds closed down 20 years ago. You know, you lose your job, you lose your income, you get depressed, or you have some other mental issue. You know, an example is Susan, who last night was going through my garbage just over here at the bottom of my stairs. You know, Susan is schizophrenic. She treats her mental health issue with drug addiction. You know, a big shortfall has been that the state has not actually come through with their mental health and drug treatment beds. We need multiple facilities all across the state, in the different corners of our state, so that we can actually serve those that need help. You know, I've actually put out an actual bulleted list itemed plan on what I'd like to see, and that includes enforcing the tents and tarps ordinance, which got right here, LMC 7.29, this whole section, 7.29001 to 7.29070, that was passed in 2019 after they were instructed by social service agencies to camp at City Hall. We have this ordinance on the books, it's just not being enforced. And a lot of people want to use the Ninth Circuit Court decision as a cop-out to say, well, we can't actually enforce the laws as the city. Well, that's not the case. That court issued a further clarification when Boise, Martin v. Boise is the case, they went to appeal again to try to get it appealed to the US Supreme Court. That appeal was denied and they didn't want to hear the case again. However, they clarified cities have the ability to dictate and limit the when, the where, the how, what time, what they can and can't do. Shopping carts that are currently right now, as of 15 minutes ago when I was in town, 4 shopping carts next to the gazebo full of garbage of mentally ill, drug addicted people that are living in the bushes in the park right now, which violates these LMCs that aren't being enforced. That's a problem. But then once we get them into housing, as Chet said, you know, oftentimes there's not the transitional housing for when they get out of treatment. So we need the law enforcement aspect. We need the actual treatment beds in Washington State, statewide. I think our county dollars can help that at a county level, providing for treatment beds and transitional housing. But then we need that transitional housing after the fact. You know, how is anybody expected to prosper and, you know, make it out of their addiction and their rock bottom moment when we throw them right back out on the streets with their abusers and their folks that victimize them? So
we're on the 3 minutes if you could wrap it. But
yeah, so yeah. Law enforcement, treatment beds for drug addiction and mental health. Our city government needs to lobby for that at the state level, and then we need to lobby and work with the county and the state and other entities to provide for the transitional housing for after treatment.
Okay. All right, Tom.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, when it comes to our homelessness and unhoused crisis, it's my belief that, and I speak for a lot of community members, regardless of their feelings, that compassionate but practical solutions, especially those that don't expose our city and our citizens to humanitarian criticisms or legal liability, are really the key here to be able to try to minimize this ongoing crisis that, as other candidates have noted, is really a national crisis. I support the city's existing efforts to try to find solutions. It may be slow going, but I really do support our existing city council's path and partnership with the county and how that's unfolding in the RFP to try to implement a framework that both complies with federal law and at the same time alleviates the worst problems associated with the homeless encampment and the transient issues. I think there's been so much rhetoric and so much, especially harsh rhetoric on this issue, that I really think that, and I know I speak for a lot of citizens too, that what they really want to see are solutions and moving forward on it. That's why I am right there with, and I agree with Angie on expanded mental health services. Our drug court that the county helped implement a couple years ago has been really a shining success about how we can help people that are most vulnerable. Sure, it doesn't work all the time, but programs like that really show that that government intervention, when targeted, can really help those that need it, especially when corroborated with our civic and ministerial organizations and the support they offer on this issue. Again, like I've said before, I really support expanding mental health services, providing law enforcement additional resources to tackle this issue, and giving our ministerial and nonprofit organizations the resources to be the frontline responders, so to speak, in helping address these issues for the community. I think that's where I'll leave it. Thanks, Dave.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.